Hi, my name's April, and welcome to my writing YouTube channel. I really wanted to start this channel because I am a writer myself, and I found so much helpful advice, useful tools through other YouTube, AuthorTube writing channels, things like that. So I figured, why not share what I have to give? And thinking about it, I don't really have a lot of writing advice. The do this, write this way, here's how to outline a book. What I feel that I bring to the table is a way to look at writing advice, a way to look at critiquing, to look at storytelling, so you can change your mindset when you sit down to write rather than having a list of rules you need to follow that other people have said. This is what makes you a good writer. Is what will help you be a good writer. Rather than that type of advice, I feel like I can bring something different to the table. So some of the videos I have already have planned are critiquing advice. So how to be a good critique partner, how to receive critiques, because I have noticed that a lot of times in the YouTube sphere, there's a lot of drafting advice and how to check grammatical things in your work, how to work on character, how to actually sit down and write your draft. But there's not a whole lot on after you've finished your draft, what do you do? There's a whole bunch of videos on tropes you need to avoid, tropes that are great, different aspects of characters, like how not to write female characters, how to write female characters, how not to write male characters, how to write male characters, how to write romance, how to write a mystery, things like that that are great for drafting and planning your story. But I feel like there's a lot less on, cool, I have a draft. Now what do I do? So that's where I want to step in and kind of fill that void, talking about critiquing, talking about editing, talking about how to look at your story now that it's on the page in a big picture type of way to help you edit in a way that's constructive and will really help you make your story the best that it can be. Because everybody knows that first drafts aren't the greatest, unless you're an extremely talented drafter. Your first draft is, of course, going to need a whole bunch of work, and all the writing advice on how to write female characters, how to write male characters, how to write this trope, how to write that trope, that's not really going to help you when you step back and try to start editing what you've drafted using that advice. I actually am in the process of editing my my first novel ever. I have completed the draft of 208,000 words for my fantasy novel about a young woman whose foster father is falsely imprisoned and she has to go and save him, get him free however she chooses to do so. And so I am in the critiquing process of that right now. So I have had one critique partner who has read through my entire story and given me the critiques, and I have gone through several times myself editing. So that's kind of where I am in my writing journey, just so that you guys can get a little bit of an idea of where I'm at. I also have a master's degree. It's in like social sciences. And so I focused heavily on research, and so I've written a whole bunch of research papers. I know the research method. I've created research studies and conducted interviews, collected interviews, and then consolidated that into a written study that's actually being published. Yay! So I do have a whole bunch of experience writing in different forms, which I do think that brings a good, interesting, different avenue to writing advice that you guys might not already know, because I do think that a lot of the people who write on YouTube, the YouTube personalities, I feel like most of them, if they did get a degree in a writing field. It would have been creative writing rather than like research writing. So I started this YouTube channel to be a writing resource for people who are out of the drafting process and are onto critiquing and editing. I like to look at stories from a macro perspective, so really getting the big picture of what your story is saying, what your themes are, to take your draft and the bare bones of all of those things and really give it some more depth. Make it clearer to your reader what you're saying, how to look at other people's work and help them do the same. I do want to have a couple of videos about being a critique partner and how to take critiques. Also, how to tell if writing advice is actually any good. So there's tons of writing advice here on YouTube. A whole bunch of it is really fantastic. It can really get the juices flowing and thinking about how to draft things. And a lot of it I find to be not very helpful. The mindset of the advice isn't very helpful. It gets you into a mindset of, if I do X thing, if I use adverbs, if I ever use passive voice, then I'm a bad writer and I need to comb through my manuscript and get rid of all of that because every single one of those things has to be bad. There's no place for adverbs ever. There's no place for passive voice ever. And I feel like that's very limiting to writers, especially in this day and age where it can be very market focused. So people giving writing advice a lot of the times think every single person who is writing wants to be a multimillionaire off of their writing. They want to hit it big. They want to be the next Stephen King. They want to be the next insert famous author that's a household name here. And I personally feel, of course, this entire channel is all my opinions. If you disagree, feel free to. But I feel that that is not very helpful in creating unique, powerful stories. You can read 5,000 cookie cutter books that are very marketable, go and sell, a decent amount of books, but they don't really bring anything new to the table because sometimes authors, especially aspiring authors, get into this rut of thinking, well, if I write what I really want to write, if I branch out and try this new thing, I'm not going to sell, so I can't do it. I have to just at least break into the industry. Nobody's going to want to read my my pet project. Nobody's going to want to read this thing that's been rattling around in my head and is a really weird concept maybe, but they think from a lot of the writing advice that I've seen on YouTube that, well, I just can't write that because it's not going to sell, and I guess selling is the only important thing in writing. And I don't feel that to be the case. Most of the books that I have read that really resonated with me and really made an impact on me and made me think about them for a long time after I read them and has made me go back and reread them have been different from the classic 3-act hero's journey structure. They have delved into different aspects of storytelling, a different method of storytelling. They have had a unique voice. They have balked tradition in a lot of ways, or they've tackled subjects that I personally had not seen much before. One of the books that comes to mind is The Music of Dolphins by Catherine Hess. And it's... let me go grab it, actually. So this is The Music of Dolphins by Karen Hess. Sorry, Karen. We're on first name basis. I was close. By Karen Hess, The Music of Dolphins. This is actually a story. I guess it would be under Kids Lit. It is by Scholastic. And it tells the story, first point of view, from a feral child. So the main character, Mila, it's told from her point of view, and she was actually raised by dolphins. And so the grammar is very simplistic, sometimes inaccurate, because it is written like her diary, pretty much. And so it's very differently structured. It has very simple sentences. It has very large words, short chapters. And then as Mila develops and learns more English, learns to think like a human more, then let's see, like the words get smaller, paragraphs get longer, more complex. And that, I feel like, is some writing styles that YouTube writing channels might say, no, don't do that. Don't you ever dare think to do that. That is bad. That is not what publishers want. That is not what's going to sell. That's too different. It's too out of there. You are not the exception to the rule. Something that a lot of YouTubers, I'm sure meaning well, like to say is you are not the exception to the rule. I kind of disagree with that advice, because it again presupposes the idea that the only reason you're writing this story is to sell. And you have to be an exception in order to sell, but you can be an exception and just write the story. Write your story. You don't have to ever publish it. You don't have to ever be on the New York Times bestseller list in order to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Fulfilled, satisfied, feel that catharsis of getting a story out of your body and onto a page, and possibly sharing it with, even if it's just a few people. Sometimes that's enough, especially for us creative types. Sometimes that's enough, is just to have 2 people read that story. That's it. That's all you need. And having that story out in the world and having it written in a way that captures what you were imagining the best, that's what I want to help you do. So even if you are breaking every rule of writing, I think that you can still be an incredible success, and I want to help you make that exception to the rule. I want to help you make yourself the exception to the rule by just writing it. Maybe it isn't going to be a New York Times bestseller. Maybe not. But maybe it will be. Maybe you, by some miracle, get it published, and maybe that one famous person picks it up and says, this is something new, this is something unique, this really touched me in a way that I hadn't been touched by a book in a while. And maybe you take off. Like, that's how it always happens. If that is your goal, my advice there is just to do it and, see what happens. Because nobody can guarantee you a spot on the New York Times bestseller list. Nobody can guarantee you success in writing, even if you do every single thing right. We don't live in a meritocracy, just genuinely speaking, we don't. The best books are not always the books that become famous, but you can write your book, your way, and make it the best that it can be. And I want to help you have a different mindset about writing than a lot of writing YouTubers maybe are providing, or that I'm seeing that they're providing. Um, so, yeah, my do's and don'ts are going to be more about how you are approaching your critiques, how you are approaching your edits, how you are approaching looking at different aspects of your story. So, it's a do think of the edits in this way, don't go in thinking about it that way type of thing. So I'm never intending to be prescriptive and saying this X thing is always what you need to do. It's just kind of basically thinking about how you're how you're accepting advice, how you are weeding through the advice to see if it's helpful to you personally or not, how to think about giving advice, things of that nature that I plan on delving into with my videos. My goal is to post a video, two videos a month right now, because I do have a full-time job. I do have another YouTube video channel, High Fantasy Ambiance. It's kind of an ASMR ambiance channel, so when you're sitting down to write, sitting down to edit, sitting down to read or anything, I just have little soundscapes, ambiance, day in the life, no talking type of videos to just give you some background noise that's very nice to relax and focus on your project with. So I have a couple up, like a day at the aquarium, I have some candle burning, I have showing off some of my fall decor, because as you can see, it is fall time now. It's the first week of October here, and I also have a couple of writing ones where there's some writing sounds, me editing, me rewriting some of my stories, me re-outlining some chapters, things like that. So if you want a kind of little day in the life, no talking, chill videos, that's where you can find those. So this channel is High Fantasy Writing. I have just kind of always used the moniker High Fantasy X, High Fantasy Y, High Fantasy Z, because high fantasy is what really got me into reading and writing in the first place, and it just holds a very special place in my heart. So this is not going to be only high fantasy advice, only writing styles that fit high fantasy, because like I said, I do have a lot of other writing experience in different genres of writing, some not even creative writing. So don't let that moniker throw you off. This channel is for everybody who is a writer. This can even include academic writing. You might find some of the critiquing advice helpful in when you're getting your manuscripts back for critiquing and your professors have said, you need to change this, you need to change that, or the place you're trying to publish has given you some pointers to change up your writing. Maybe these mindsets that I'll share with you could, help in that way. Who knows? So again, my name is April, and this is High Fantasy Writing. Thank you for stopping by and checking out my channel. And if you do have any suggestions of videos that you would like to see me do, any topics you'd like to see me cover, any questions you may have about the writing process, feel free to leave them in the comment section down below, and I will definitely try to respond to you, and then I will of course let you know if I feel like I have something unique to add to the conversation, and if I don't feel like I do, I will do my best to find some resources that I find to be very helpful and share them with you as well. So even though I'm not personally addressing it with my video, you have a couple of resources that you can go to and check it out. Because of course I do love AuthorTube and all of the different writers on YouTube. Everybody brings their own unique flavor and style to writing and to writing advice. So I am definitely not looking to step on anybody's toes or say that I know better or anything like that. So I think that we are a huge community and that we can all share with each other and to figure out some fun places to go with our writing. All right. Thank you again for stopping by my channel, and I do hope to see you very, very soon. Goodbye and happy October!